Hi there. Catch of the Day Video News, freelance reporting out of Hamilton. This is Sunday, July 14th. Here's our calendar. I don't know if I can get this one. Okay, this week, this part 2, I will be discussing the bills that they will be having this week at the Beacon Hill. So, the very first meeting that they're having is Labor and Workforce Development. Oops, I'm using my computer screen behind this one. Let me see if I can just click on it and see if it'll come up. If I can. I'm going to put the screen down, but I know it'll still be recording me. See if I can minimize it. It doesn't want to let me minimize it. Okay. We're talking about the Committee on Labor and Workforce Development. So we have a bunch of bills here, and the reason I'm going to talk about these bills is because I have an independent contractor registry project of freelance reporters, and I am afraid some of these bills are directly going to affect me, whether I start it or after it gets going. And I just want to point out, as I start to cover talking about the bills that are coming up at the State House, just how important it is to be watching and to watch the sneaky process that goes on. It's not sneaky. They're having the meeting. What's sneaky about it is they don't have to really let you know meetings are going on, but we are fortunate enough to know about these. So let's go. So we have Senate 851 by Clark, a petition accompanied by Senate 851 of Catherine Clark, Sal Domenico, Corey Atkins, Hennequez, and other members for legislation relative to the enhanced enforcement of civil penalties. Okay. And S869. I'm not going to talk about who these bills are being presented by. I want you to go to the website https://malegislature.gov and look for committee hearings, and then it'll show the week that we're talking about. And you can go backward and forward, but we're looking at tomorrow. So here's a bill to provide relative to private construction contracts, and they always list the committee at the end of it. So it's Labor and Workforce Development, and it's going to be in Cary Hall in Lexington. It's not in this at Beacon Hill at all. So, okay, we have another bill relative to franchises in Massachusetts and Labor and Workforce Development. And we have S875 for legislation relative to the creative economy. S873, promoting fairness in private construction contracts. There's quite a few bills on construction here. S884, further transparency in public construction. S883, fair retainage payments in private construction. S886, certain independent contractors under the labor laws. Now that's very fishy. Catch of the day here. S891, legislation to limit indemnity and insurance responsibility for general contractors. So here we have the Democrats wanting everyone to get insurance, and now we want the contractors, somebody, filed a bill to limit responsibility. Okay, so S897. To expedite appeals of wage violations. Okay. S898. To combat tax and insurance fraud. H1711. Legislation to exempt certain independent contractors from certain labor laws. H1695. Relative to freelancers in the definition of employees under the labor laws. There you go. So you wonder why I schlep into the State House constantly and fish out these bills. H1700. Now we're on the House bills. Relative to healthcare worker safety, labor, and workforce development. H1710. Promoting fairness in private construction contracts. H1727. To limit indemnity and insurance responsibility for general contractors and subcontractors in construction work. H1736. Relative to the definition of an employee under the labor laws for certain persons performing services. H1738. Relative to intellectual property. 1751. Relative to retainage payments on certain construction projects. H3313. Relative to allowing voluntary registration of independent contractors. That is a little strange. 1778. Others relative to labor laws governing certain independent contractors. So that's that one. And now I'm going to go back. I have to go back. See what it shows me. So I just went back. I was on events, hearings for homepage, no, events/hearings for homepage. So now we will go into telecommunications, utilities, and energy, which is in A1 at the same time. This is interesting. So let's do a little fishing. Find out what's going on in this meeting. Okay, agenda. Renewable energy. We have the facilitators are John Keenan and Benjamin Downing. The meeting goes from 10 to 1. Right. Okay, S1582. Relative to net metering, telecommunication and energy. 1583. Relative to renewable energy portfolio standards. S1593. Relative to credit for thermal energy generated with renewable fuels. S1603. Legislation to create Renewable Energy Investment Act. H2915. Relative to renewable energy portfolio standard requirements. H2916, relative to green energy generation. H2918, relative to regulating retail access to sellers of renewable energy generation attributes. H2932, relative to modifying the Renewable Energy Portfolio Standard. H2938, legislation to authorize cities and towns to borrow from the Commonwealth without interest for green energy programs for such municipalities. H2946, relative to funding for energy efficiency programs. Now, as I said earlier, I will not list the names of who are petitioning these laws. I'm going to give you the homework assignment of looking for that yourself. I don't really want to know that. I'm really interested in the bills that are being presented, you can look up the bill numbers, and it will show who's representing them on this, so that's that. So H2947, relative to the cost of electricity for ratepayers. H2951, that the Renewable Energy Trust Fund be authorized to award grants for the development of farm-based renewable energy. Relative to renewable energy certificates. That was, I didn't give you the wrong number. H2954. 2955. A bill which would, that the Department of Energy Resources treat renewable generation equally when creating, developing, and administering programs. H2968. For providing for an investigation and study by a special, including members of the General Court Commission, to research and determine the cumulative cost to consumers and businesses of all the Commonwealth's renewable and alternative energy programs. H807. Legislation to promote efficiency in the use of certain natural resources. H3367. Legislation to place a moratorium on the installation of large-scale ground-mounted solar energy systems. That's interesting. To put a moratorium on it. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then relative to consumer choice of electricity from renewable sources. H2986. Okay, that meeting again is Labor and Workforce Development at 10 to 1 p.m. And I'm going to go back again to get the next one, which will give me the full screen of the one I just so renewable telecommunication and energy, 10 a.m. at A1 on July 16th. So on July 17th, we're having two hearings, the Joint Committee on Higher Education in A2 at 10:30, And then 11, the House Committee on Bonding, Capital Expenditures, and State Assets. You know, I have covered 500 public hearings, press conferences, and events on Beacon Hill. And I have set up flip.tv.com. I had set up a depository of my footage there, and they want to they want me to take my footage off, and they're giving me a deadline July 31st, and I'm just, I really think they're spamming me, and I looked at the amount of work I put up there. It was unbelievable. And, you know, it's not that you don't want credit for this, but it's like, it's so disrespectful to just throw that stuff and just say to me, oh, would you please remove this from my site? I mean, how pathetic is that? So, one of the things that I learned from all that coverage is how serious it is to cover these public meetings. To really, if you don't want to take the time to go through them, you know, one of the things I can do at home is to cover the coming meetings that are coming up this week. Now, when I do that, there'll be meetings that will be missed. I'm looking to gather 100 reporters in Massachusetts that will join this registry. The independent contractors, it's a learning educational project. Okay, I want new media. I want them to be visible to the public. I want them to really, you know, work from passion, not just you know, not for just survival, but for passion, patriotic passion for this country, and give them the tools that they need to make their works visible to the public and to actually monitor these public hearings, because I'm a senior. I don't have a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of money. What it takes is willpower, okay? Grit and willpower. So if we can get enough people to cover the public hearings and then be able to load them on a site like Blip, you know, yes, there'll be public hearings in there that will be covered by regular media. If they want to donate a meeting, they can take a tax write-off from this. But there'll be all sorts of quality meetings in there. Fact of the matter is, what we'll have is substance. We will have the meeting covered. And maybe at some point, money will get put into the State House, and Film Registry can buy cameras and put them in a lockup. And whoever is covering a meeting will go in, just take these cameras and run to the meeting. But what I've seen, from my experience, is they can have like 4, 5, 6 meetings going on at the same time. So I don't know that that can really happen. But I'm just going to try to do this little thing. So I'm going to shut this off so it's not too long and go to the next one.